Hello, I'll make this short, sweet, and to the point on how you can retire. Really not making that much money, even if you're married, especially if you're married. All right, so let's get down to it. We'll start with picking a stock. Now, obviously, you want a diversified portfolio, but just to start us off, we have CLM. Okay, that'll net you 12 cent. It will net you more than that, right? But it'll net you at least 12 cents every month per share you own, and a share costs $8.30 right now. It goes down to $8. So let's say you buy it when it goes down to $8, which it happens, every so many months or whatever. So let's open up our little calculator. All right, so 12 cents, okay, times 12 months in a year equals $1.44 a year is how much you make. Now, divided by the price of it, $8, that means you make 18%, right? 18% is the minimum. Now, it makes more than that in reality because it also has drip and it goes up in price a lot of times, and there's a lot of other things. So we'll average it to 21%. So here's some math right here. We'll say you're earning 21% just off of dividends, just off of your stocks. Let's say you make $23 an hour and your wife makes $20, such as my case. All right, so then you have post-taxes. So I took off 10%. It may vary for you, but let's just say 10% taxes. An hour, and that's a week, and a year. So I make, after taxes, $41,400. She makes $36, so that equals $77 right there. All right, plus how much I have currently, which is $25, minus our expenses, which are right down here. Right, $41,000 a year in expenses. Okay, so we got this. That's how much I will have, plus what I currently have, right? Plus what I earn, right? Since what I spend is what I earn, pretty much all my wife's money goes towards this investment. So then you take your 21% interest. So you work for a year and a half, right? Both of your incomes, that's still paying all this normal. This is your extra money if you already have 25 already. So you might want to start before if you have zero. You have $101,000 after a year and a half. Now, of course, you can use margin, and that's not including compounding interest. This is just straight up 21%. Compounding interest, you'll have more than that. But I'm using worst case scenario here because accidents happen, emergencies, whatnot. Actually, my dental bill went up or whatever, right? This is insurance, right? So with your margin, that's $202,000 investable income. So then you make $40,000 a year in your dividends, which every month equals $3,377. Now that's enough to live off, right? And that's just the dividend off of your stock. That's not including buying low and selling high. That's not including the drip even, which I talk about in my other videos. That's not including drip at NAV, right? That's not including other investments that you might have in a diversified portfolio, right? So, after a year and a half, if you do everything pretty normal, worst case scenario really, at the lower end of the spectrum, you just play it safe. Year and a half, you use margin, which you should, especially if you can get a low interest rate. Yeah, that's how much you have. You'll be able to retire in a year and a half if you can live off of $3,377.11 a month. Now, if you can live off of less than that, then you can add that money back in and compound even more. So you could be retired and still making more and more and more and more money. You could be, I don't know. And that's just making this much an hour, right? 2 incomes. Now, if you're just one single person, you might have to change this. Your cost of living goes down if you're just one person. One person living in a cheaper area, that's a lot of money right there. Now, see these expenses right here? You know, you don't see partying, giving money to other people, drugs, alcohol. You don't see any of these things here. Okay. Any sort of fun little things I go falls under other. And that's not including food, right? This is other. So, gas. I drive a very cheap car that's already paid off. So if you have a big, G-Wagon or whatever, your thing looks a little bit different than mine. But this is just my expenses and my experience. So, yeah, people say, oh, you can't retire early. You can't. Now, I have no debt as well. If you have debt, file bankruptcy and then do this. Filing bankruptcy doesn't, what's going to happen? It's not even that hard. What, you can't buy a house for a couple of years? Are you planning on buying a house right now when you're $20,000 in debt? No. You already can't buy a house. So, just file the bankruptcy. If you have like $1,000 to $2,000, just pay it off or whatever. But, a lot of people have a lot. So, and there's ways you can do better. Arbitrage opportunities and all sorts of things you can do. Some people, they can retire in a year or less if they do everything right. And they live a frugal lifestyle. You don't even have, it's not even a frugal lifestyle. I have a child and a wife, although she does pay. So, be that as it will. So, to all the haters, here's the math. It speaks for itself. Did I do something wrong? No. And this is like bare bones. This isn't even like pie in the sky stuff. This is reasonable. I will probably do better than this. So, well, there's the math for you. Have fun.